Thank you for having me. Yes, ma'am.
This is off the subject, but I noticed that, are you involved in the Truth Project on the Capitol?
Yeah, so we...
Are you getting a lot of people, representatives and senators to join you on that?
We have the smallest room down there, the hearing room. But, you know, for the first time, so we partnered with Concerned Women for America, Bev Allen and her group, to sponsor the Truth Project, which is, for those that don't know, it's a Focus on the Family video project, and it's all about Christian principles, and it's great.
It's awesome.
It's several weeks long. It lasts the majority of the legislative session. And on Wednesday mornings, we help to co-sponsor, which is, you know, we turned the lights on and brought coffee, and anyway. And we invited legislators and their staff and anybody else for that matter that wanted to come at 7 a.m. and just sit there and watch this video and eat breakfast. A lot of them liked it, and so a lot of them started to come, and by the end of the session that room was fairly full, which, you know, we went from kind of 5 to almost full. Now that's still not a lot in comparison to the folks that are down there, but we would like to do that again. We got some feedback that some people preferred more of a discussion type forum. This is not. I mean, you literally show up at 7, you pop in the video and hit play and you drink your coffee and eat your breakfast, but it's great content. It's great content if you haven't seen it yet. It's called the Truth Project, Focus on the Family if you want to Google it. It's about $100 if you want to buy it, but that would be a great thing for even a group like this. So we did participate in that and help sponsor it. Next session I'd like to do a couple of other things, because the battle is not just policy, which we do too, it's also spiritual.
Yeah.
But is everybody familiar with what happened to Speaker John Deal? Everybody heard about that, how he went down?
Yeah.
Okay, inappropriate relationship with a 19-year-old intern. They didn't prove that it was physical, but it certainly, that was the perception, and he resigned. He did the right thing. You know, I think that kind of behavior, and I don't want to say this, you know, I don't want to impugn anybody's integrity, you know, without any kind of, you know, evidence or anything like that, but I think that behavior, that spiritual battle, the same one that he faced, is a lot more prevalent than maybe we care to admit or say.
Especially in the state legislature or the federal legislature, they have so much power. And I mean, that's human nature. I mean, they need to be going to Truth Project stuff to fight off the demons all the time.
So, I mean, I would love to see, and this is just ideas that we've been kind of kicking around, so, I mean, I haven't even talked about this publicly yet, but I'd like to see the Truth Project again. I'd like to see you know, a regular class where people are at least invited to that just talks about, you know, marriage and strengthening marriage and, you know, reinforcing that from a Christian perspective. Some of them have informal Bible studies. We didn't have one last session. I mean, I'd like to see something where you have kind of just a more of a, you know, sit in a circle and go through, I don't know, I mean, the book of James or, you know, something like that, where it's just kind of a more informal Bible study to see just more of that kind of content, you know, down there. So
well, I just noticed several of the reps, I forget the names now, said something about the Truth Project. Oh, that's great.
Is Wallingford your senator? He came a lot.
Okay.
He doesn't score great with us, but he came.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got C, I think.
Yeah. I mean, great guy.
I mean, they can take it twice.
Yeah. But he came a lot. So, I'm trying to think of anybody else from your neck. He stands out in my memory.
Tom Lichtenegger and Kathy Small.
I didn't see them there.
Well, that's our area.
Right. Anyway, that's good that you're doing that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I
Yes,
like
ma'am.
my Monday morning email to tell me exactly what is going on for the week in Jeff City. I live to read that every day to know which one's going to hearing, which one's going to perfect. I like getting that every Monday morning.
Very good. Make sure you do that. So, yes, sir.
Prescription drug database, I opposed that too, and I thought Holly Reisner was a hypocrite for endorsing it. But then I read that she had a daughter that had an addiction problem to pain medicine following a painful accident. And although I still don't agree with the mandate, it softened my opinion over a little bit.
Yeah, no, just because, that's an excellent point. Sometimes, and I'm like this, you know, sometimes someone disagrees with you on a policy that you maybe care very deeply about. And, you know, human nature wants to just kind of react and say, well, that's a bad person. Well, that's not really the truth. You know, I mean, Holly is a good person. I agree with her on just about everything that I've ever talked to her about, policy-wise, except for this, and we stridently disagree on it. But her motivation is not nefarious. I mean, her motivation is not that, hey, I want to house all of your private, you know, medical information and put it in a Jefferson City database run by a bureaucrat. Now, that's what would happen. But, I mean, she's not thinking like that. I mean, she's thinking in terms of, she had a personal story where a member of her family was hurt by prescription drug abuse, and she saw the terrible effects of drug abuse, which are horrific. If anybody's ever dealt with it or had a friend or family member that's dealt with it, I mean, these are, you know, terrible problems that we face as a society. And so her solution was this. You know, again, I love Holly, but I just think that a big government database that kind of treats everybody like a criminal is not the solution to a terrible problem. Plus, you know, there's information and data out there that indicates that even if you have a PDMP, like the other 49 states do, it doesn't necessarily correct the problem that you're trying to deal with. And there's just some evidence also that illicit drug abuse, i.e. heroin abuse, increases. So, yeah, maybe they're not popping mom and dad's pills or what have you, but now they're, you know, they're tapping a vein and shooting heroin into a vein and killing themselves. So it's, you know, it's not a clean, nice problem where there's just a one-size-fits-all solution. So yeah, I agree with you. But her motivations were, in my opinion, pure.
Just humanized.
And just yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yes, sir.
On a personal note, who do you like for the 2016 presidential?
Oh man.
Did you know that Donald Trump's in now?
I heard, I saw that.
You have to include him.
Probably not him. You know, personally, I kind of like Ted Cruz. I also like, you know, Scott Walker is interesting. Rand Paul. I mean, I haven't picked a horse yet. You know, for me, it's one of these things where whether it's our gubernatorial race here in Missouri or the presidential race, where you have how many Republicans running for each now?
12 president.
Yeah, 12 for president.
That's the downside, they don't have any one particular guy to, or to go to or anything.
Well, the problem is we all know, I mean, and we're not engaged in presidential politics. I told you kind of where we engage, but personally speaking, I mean, we're at a place where we have, you know, multiple candidates and they have one. So in Missouri, they're going to have Chris Koster. Well, he used to be our Cass County prosecutor, and the guy has known that he's going to be president since then, and he's good. And he looks like a cross between Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, and he has a baritone voice, and he runs as a conservative. So he looks like a movie star, sounds like a movie star. He can raise money like you wouldn't believe, so he's going to be very well funded. He's not going to have a primary. So what does he get to do? Raise and save, which equates to more money that he can put on TV down here to convince you and your neighbors that he's a conservative Democrat. There is no such thing. But he's going to do his level best to convince all the people down here that he is. Now, what happens if we have... We shall overcome. Very good, Brian.
Nice.
So that's honestly, that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's my biggest fear, that we kind of divide and conquer ourselves while the left runs, you know, their ideal candidate because they want to win. And then what happens when they win? Well, we've seen what happens when they win. You get Jay Nixon and you get Barack Obama.
Yeah, a lot of ways we're shooting our own self in the foot as conservatives, though, because people are so divided and they're not coming together.
I kind of see that as a strength, though, because I see it as a competition of ideas. The more candidates you have in the early stages, the more ideas you have to pick from. Now, it'll get willowed down, you know, pretty quick, I think. I see that as a strength.
It can be, and I especially see that in places like Cape. I mean, you all have a fairly conservative area here. So, for instance, I mean, if you have a state senate race whenever Wallingford is turned out, you know, you'll have probably a more establishment kind of candidate, and then maybe Brian will run.
Yeah.
No, Brian don't live here no more.
Brian don't live here no more. Oh, well, you know. Jan? So, okay. But, you know, you find a conservative, you know, that can win, and to agree, you know, you have that kind of war of ideas, and you hopefully, you so in state Senate races and state rep races, I'm all for that. I would be all for that if we were Texas. Unfortunately, what I've seen in Missouri over the last several years, and this is maybe I don't mean this is a bad word, but maybe my pragmatic streak coming out, and I'm just being honest with you. In Missouri, I've seen us endure multiple way primaries over the last few years. Well, look at our statewide offices. Who's in them? Okay, well, we have a Republican in the lieutenant governor's office. Let's see, our governor. How many years have we held the governor's mansion in the last 25? Maybe 4? After what? You know, how many years have Republicans held the Attorney General's office, another critical office? Our Attorney General, by the way, Chris Koster, wasn't suing against Obamacare like other attorneys general were. So, I mean, that thing has been held by a Democrat since Jay Nixon held it in the early 90s. You know, our treasurer, I mean, on down the board, they're overwhelmingly held by Democrats, and so that's my fear. But I agree with you. I mean, if we were Texas and could have a 5-way Republican primary and kind of have the war of ideas and get the most conservative person and who could win in there, I'd be all for it all day long. My fear, based on our experience in Missouri, is that you're going to run against Chris Koster, which we know is happening, and we're going to have 5 or 6 candidates. And the same in the presidential. Hillary's going to be tough, provided she actually makes it out of all the scandals that she's enduring right now. And so we're going to have a multiple-way primary, but there's no way we're going to avoid it. We're going to have that conversation as a conservative family, and we'll just have to endure it and do our best to win. But those are probably my 3 top picks right now. What about you?
Cruz.
Cruz, yep. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind, like anybody.
Walker,
Yeah.
Still on the fence with Walker.
Yep, yep, no, same here. But like with Ted Cruz, and this is, you asked me my personal opinion, out of all of them, who's going to put their foot on the brake and do a 180-degree turn and go in the other direction?
He will.
Like he will.
And he's
I mean, the rest of them, okay, we might form a commission to study Obamacare and then try to reform. I mean, you know, and I don't know about you, but I'm just sick and tired of that.
they're going to compromise somehow.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
There was something passed this legislative session to put a group together to study how to change our make taxes easier for the individuals, and it was going to cost like over $700,000. Do you remember that, Bill?
I don't off the top of my head, I'm sorry.
What was the number of that? But it's like, what is that about?
What was it now?
It's here in Missouri.
Do you have that? It was a bill that set up a commission to study our tax code.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For over $700,000.
Yeah, we would have been opposed to
The
that.
state tax code.
Yes, here in Missouri.
Changing our tax system
And that
is something
passed.
that's worthwhile, but spending additional resources to do so is not.
I would like to make a point there about who's running for president.
Yes, sir.
Stop looking at anybody that's got senator in front of their name.
There you go.
We haven't had a good president that was a senator since Abraham Lincoln was president.
And he has some issues.
If you look at the good presidents, they had the word governor in front of their name. So look at the candidates that can put the word governor in front of their name and stop looking at the ones that say senator. I don't care how good they look on TV. If they were a senator, they've been in the Senate too long. They're part of the problem, not part of the solution.
Which is why I haven't made up my mind yet. So you have a lot of people that have, you know, I mean, I don't disagree with you about executive experience. I think it means a lot.
I think Rick Perry would make a great president.
Yeah, yeah. I stopped looking at Perry when he shot himself in the foot in the debate. But I'll tell you what, I saw him at the AFP National Conference in Dallas this last year, and out of all of them, he by far gave the best speech and kind of caused me to kind of stop and look at him once again. So, and he's supported by Marcus Luttrell, if you ever read the book or saw the movie A Lone Survivor. So he's got a lot of good support like that too. So, as a veteran, that means a lot.
If they can put the word governor in front of their name, they've got executive experience and they know how to run a big business, which is a state.
Agreed.
which is something no senator has ever done, unless he's kind of been a governor in State House.
It still gave us Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton.
I didn't vote for Jimmy Carter.
But they were governors.
Any other questions? I don't think we're gonna solve your presidential race tonight.
Damn the bad luck.
What's that? Well, thank you for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank
All right,
you.
see you.
All right, I guess that wraps up our events for this evening, other than 50/50 drawing. So if you got all the tickets back there, and bring that forward for the drawing. And did anyone else need any before we do the drawing?
This is the draw out of?
Yep.
If I want to, here's our, we have somebody new here
How about our
tonight.
guest? Or either that or somebody new?
Never attended before? Would you draw one? He gets to draw the winner, first time attending. And the number is,
living wrong.
How's that?
last three digits, 396.
So you got Senator Wheeler?
I'm not sure.
396.
I've got a red ticket that says
Right here it is.
396. There
There you go.
He's,
And
Thank
this
you.
is your, there you go.
He's an interesting cat.
Steve, thank you very much.
Very moderate.
And thank everyone for coming tonight, and
Voted
again,
the wrong way.
if you wish, we'll be at
Wait,
some of us.
we're gonna pass
Oh,
around.
We'd like to do a collection from
Oh,
Rain
yes,
Gas.
do we have any matches
Anybody-
available for that yet?
If you feel like,
If you'd like to-
Ryan comes over on his own time, and so if you feel like his.
Thank you. I
speech is
enjoyed your
working and you'd like
comments
to know
very
how
much.
to gas bus,
Appreciate it.
We're gonna pass this in the cart and
But no, I'll give it.
fill it up for him.
Maybe organizing some calls or something in the
Sure, sure.
We need 2 more
And then
votes
other
in
than
the
that-
Senate for him to override.
So call this around. This is for the speaker. Yeah, this is like.
You're gonna throw 5 in
And
there?
I was supposed to
Give me
mention-
the 5 and I'll throw a 10.
Thanks for coming. Okay, thank you for
Why
having
don't
me.
you just stand in front of the door?
You're damn right.
John's gonna stand in front of the door.